This is Jason's Electronics Repair. I'm Jason, and welcome to my ER. Today, we are going to be doing some work with the mini hot plate. I got it set up over here. We're going to be removing a two connectors that have corrosion on them and taking a look at the corrosion underneath and seeing if there's any trace damage. If I go to the microscope, you can see that these are heavily water damaged, and there is actually a trace loose on this location right here. So I wiggle this here, you can see that that is not even connected. So I don't know if the trace is blown. See how it's moving. So I don't know if it's still connected or what's going on, but this thing is nasty. It needs to be taken off. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to fire up the mini hot plate and heat it from below, and then also add just a smidge of hot air on the top to actually remove the connectors. So I have my mini hot plate. We'll set up the air while this is heating up. So we're going to turn this on here, and we're going to set this to 350. 350, and we're going to allow that to heat up. I don't want to float the mini SD connector, so I need to watch this very carefully. I got some new tweezers I want to try here. I'm going to try these new tweezers here, and we're going to heat this up, and then I'm going to set my air to 380. 380 at 55 airflow. So 55 out of 120. So we're set to 380. We got a 8mm nozzle on, and then we are going to let this heat up. We're at about 128. This is the Miniware MHP30, just a mini little hot plate here. So that's what it looks like. So you can smell it burning. So I'm going to turn on the fume extractor because that liquid damage stuff is starting to corrode, starting to burn off. I'm going to add a little bit of this Kester's corrosion busting flux here. Around the connectors. We're going to try to get those pulled off. In the meantime, I'm going to turn on my FM203, my FX951 to get my micro pencil going here so I can clean the pads when it heats up. So we are at 245. I'm going to let that heat up. Flux is going to start to run. This flux is really nasty, so make sure you have proper fume extraction. So as we're heating up, you can see the temperature a little bit on the camera. I'm going to switch to the microscope here in a minute. I'm going to let this get hot. Let's get to about 300 C, and then we're going to switch to the microscope camera. Okay, that's at 300. We're going to switch over to this. And you can see how we're going to let that get up the temperature. It's at 327. I don't think this is going to be moving. Here's the tweezers. Gonna have to add a little bit of hot air to this, I bet. So we are heated up. I'm going to take my hot air and I'm going to warm the top up I'm going to try to do this without melting any of the connectors. Keeping my nozzle about 2 inches away from the board here. Waiting for that flux to start to bubble and smoke off, because that's when I know that the connector is going to be ready to come off. And we're doing this without burning the connector here, hopefully. Slowly warming up the area. Using lower temperatures, 380C is going to take a little bit longer for the 223C lead-free solder to melt. We're hoping that the underheating on this will allow me to pull these up here. Connectors are starting to melt here, and they're not budging. Here we go. Now they're starting to move. Might be welded on, not sure. I normally have great success with the hot plate doing this. All right, I'm just going to come in a little bit closer with the hot air and see if I can get these off. There's that one. And then there's that one. So I was able to get them off. They're not too bad. If you look at this one, that one is probably still usable after it cools down. We'll check it out. But as you can see, we have a lot of corrosion down here on this board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some flux. I'm going to come in with my micro pencil and some leaded solder while the board is still being preheated. I'm going to fluff up these pads here. Make sure you get all that corrosion off of there. Switch these over to leaded. What I want to do is I want to wick that away now. I want to wick all that away. Make sure I get all that corrosion off of there. All right, then I'm going to add a little bit more leaded solder. All right, so there we go. So that is off and ready to go. I'm going to disconnect my hot plate from the power. And I'm going to gently move this board away so it's out of the way. The hot plate out of here, and let this cool down. So that is removing a connector with the mini hot plate and a little bit of hot air. Come in here. This connector got a little bit more mangled than I had intended it to, but this one withheld the heat a little bit, and if I clean it up, it may still work. We look at the underside, it seems like it still could be good. So we'll find out. So this is a badly liquid damaged board, and I'm just doing some experimentation and things like that with it to see if I can get it cleaned up and actually booting. The rest of the switch is pretty damaged, but we're going to take a look at it in these little clips of pulling stuff off, cleaning corrosion and things like that. All right, guys, I'm trying to keep these under 15 minutes. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day.